Update. Aunt tells me that my paycheck should go towards her son's college fees when she didn't let me stay at her house in order to attend school. Original post. I got a job around 3 months ago. It's my first proper job that isn't in a fast food restaurant. No hate. This was to pay for my rent and save up for university. I live away from my parents because I go to an international school in another city. As per custom in the country I live in, and to show gratitude, I gifted my first paycheck to my parents. It wasn't much, but I could see that they appreciated it, and we were all happy. This lasted for about 10 minutes. My mother then decided to go on the family group chat to tell everyone. No blame on her, I understand. I then got a call from my aunt, who proceeded to ask me about the details of my job, which seemed fishy, considering she hasn't really given a crap about my existence until 2 seconds after that message was sent. She then explained that her son, my cousin, who goes to the same school and is in my grade, is going to college. No surprise there. And that I, as someone with a source of income and as a family member, should pay part of his school fees using my next paycheck, because according to her, I'm part of the family and should support him. For the record, I know that my aunt has a substantially larger salary than I do, but it seems she doesn't want to spend any of it on things that don't benefit her. Additionally, when I got into this school, my mother called my aunt to ask if I could stay with her until I graduated, but she refused, saying they didn't have space. Instead, my parents bought me a small flat, and I now have to work to contribute to the rent. My aunt went on about how hard my cousin worked to get into college and insisted that I should have sympathy for him. Honestly, I don't feel any sympathy for a kid who stays out all night and barely puts in any effort at school. With the little patience I had left, I politely reminded her that most of my salary goes toward my own basic needs, such as paying rent and buying food, as well as saving up for my tuition fees. To which she rudely responded, "If you can do that, you should be able to donate some money." I've always been taught the value of hard work and self-sufficiency, and now it felt like my effort was being taken for granted. Out of frustration, I hung up on her. Later, I got a call from my mother asking why her sister was complaining about me. I explained my side of the story, and now she has blocked my aunt as well. My aunt realized this and has been pestering other relatives to help cover the fees, guilt-tripping and shaming those who don't donate. She's probably ranting in the family chat as I'm writing this. It feels good to vent a bit. Sorry if this was long or the wording is weird. My English sucks. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Just block your aunt, cousin, and anyone who agrees with them. You owe them nothing. He can get a job as well. You've already fulfilled your obligation by giving your first paycheck to your parents. Your mother should suggest that just like you, he can find a job and support himself. And cousin doesn't even have to pay rent, I bet. He lives under my aunt's roof, so I doubt he pays for rent, let alone food. Never set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Learn now, never discuss your finances with anyone. When people know your financial details, the begging begins. Your aunt is way out of line with her request to you and your other family members. It's not anyone else's job to pay her son's way. Tell your parents, shush about your finances and anything that you give them. You are only obligated to take care of yourself. Update me. I might post an update at some point after everything has calmed down a bit. Thanks for the advice though. Update. This is starting to feel like a fever dream. Before I start, thank you guys so much. I kept reading the comments, and I never imagined that so many strangers on the internet would support me or give me advice. It feels really good. Secondly, my apologies to those who tried to read the previous post and found a wall of text. I'll try to format this one better. Now to the actual stuff. As some of the comments suggested, I did go no contact with my aunt. I didn't talk to her, but I did get some hateful messages on social media from people I assumed to be my aunt's friends. This worked for about a day, until I realized the horrible timing of my last post. Our family has these dinner gatherings every 4 or so months, where all our extended family, descended from my maternal grandmother, gets together, usually at a relative's house. This time, it was my parents' turn to host, and honestly, it felt good to go back, because living alone isn't that fun. I got there around 3 p.m. today. I'm going back to school tomorrow. to help prepare and, best of all, to get some quality time with my parents and sister before everyone else arrived. As soon as I got there, they showed me my aunt's pity rant in the family group chat, and we laughed about it. Around 5 p.m., my relatives started showing up, including my aunt and her family. I managed to avoid her for the first hour, until dinner. That's when everyone sat at the long table, and as usual, we went around sharing updates about our lives. One of my uncles asked how school was and about our internal exam results. For context, my school follows the International Baccalaureate Exam Board, and anyone who's done IB knows it's hell. My cousin went first, proudly announcing that he got a total of 26/45, a pass. Someone told him to study harder, LOL. Then it was my turn, and I told everyone I got a 42, which got me a round of applause and a pissed-off look from my cousin. That's when my aunt stood up and declared that this was exactly why I should help my cousin. Apparently, I'm doing well enough, and my lazy cousin deserves the same opportunity too, because he was trying hard and cut down on playing Call of Duty. Honestly, if you take the IB diploma program and still have time for Call of Duty, you must be really smart. She then switched to a customer service voice and started appealing to the other relatives, while subtly shading the ones who hadn't donated. As some of you suggested, I told her that I would donate the same amount of money she paid for my school fees, aka nothing, and that if my cousin really needed money, I'd be glad to share my employer's contact info with him. I had a lot of fun saying that, but unfortunately it had the opposite effect. My aunt went ballistic, shouting that my mother had raised a heartless and stupid child, and that I was now old enough to be a breadwinner for the family, which apparently includes her. This pissed off my dad, who dragged my aunt into another room, but we could still hear him yelling that she shouldn't be dependent on other people. In the end, my aunt stormed out with my cousin, but not before demanding that my mother talk some sense into me or disown us entirely. This all happened about an hour ago. As I'm writing this, my aunt is ranting in the group chat, saying that if I ever get a scholarship, it should go to my cousin, and that I should pay for my tuition myself. I don't think that's how scholarships work. P.S. No hate to my cousin. To be fair, he didn't demand anything from me. I think he's just annoyed that I got the better score. I don't think he's stupid. I just think he's devoted all his brain power to Call of Duty. If she does anything else delusional and Reddit-worthy, I'll post another update. How did your other relatives react to your aunt's demands? Some of them blocked her, some of them screamed into their phone, and some crazy ones actually gave money. Well, now you can all tell the aunt to go after the ones who gave her money and to leave you alone. And she's the well-off aunt if I remember the original post correctly. Sounds like someone needed to get hit with a slipper as a child. Good on you for standing your ground and your family for backing you up. I wouldn't been able to do that. We used belts in my part of the world. We do too, except there was no belt handy. She is well off, but I'm assuming she has wasted it on makeup, bags, or jewelry. I don't think being disowned by her is the problem she thinks it is. She was already giving you nothing. She wants my family to disown me and whoever else objected to her humble request. Next story. My dad wants me to pay back my child support. I know this is a topic that has already been discussed, but I'm just looking for advice on a good comeback. My dad, 59, recently started making comments about how, now that I'm earning more money, I should be able to pay back the child support he paid over the years. It started small, little remarks like, "You're going to need a big income to pay back all that child support." He's asked me more than once how much I'm currently earning, and always looks disappointed when I tell him. He loves to make these comments on special occasions like my birthday, and only when my boyfriend is around, either in the same room or in the car. It's like he wants an audience to see how funny or clever he's being. My relationship with my dad has always been a bit strained, but it really went downhill when I turned 18. That's when he decided he shouldn't have to pay child support anymore, even though I was still in school. A court made it very clear that he was still obligated to continue paying, and he didn't take that well. He stopped talking to me for almost 2 years after that, like I had done something wrong for existing while he had to follow the law. Now that I'm an adult with a decent job, he acts like I owe him. It's not just the money comments, it's the tone behind them. It's condescending, manipulative, and meant to make me feel guilty for something that was his legal and moral responsibility as a parent. Sometimes I get so angry I can feel my hands shaking, but I usually just fake a laugh or change the subject because I don't want to start a fight or make things worse. Going no contact isn't really an option. I'm already low contact, and most of our communication is initiated by him. The only reason I don't completely cut him off is because my grandmother, the only other close family I have, would stop talking to me if I did. She believes families should stick together no matter what, even when it's toxic. But every time he brings it up, I feel this mix of anger and helplessness. I want to have a good response, something calm but sharp, something that shuts him down without turning it into a big argument. I'm just tired of being made to feel like a bill he wants reimbursed instead of a daughter he should care about. Child support isn't a form of savings account or bond he can get a return on. Not sure there's anything you can say that won't get that deadbeats back up. If you don't want to rock the boat, then don't bother saying anything, at least for the rest of your grandmother's life. He's not owed a penny. Right, and the dad paid that child support to OP's mom, not to OP. My response would be, gee dad, that's pretty low, even for you. I want to know what you've said and how he reacted. To be honest, we had a fight and have been no contact since then. He thought it was a good idea to test me by basically waiting for me to call him. Normally, we talk every 2 weeks. He didn't call me, and 2 weeks later, so after 4 weeks, I called him and got snapped at for finally calling. I didn't take that well and said if he wanted to snap at me the second I called, we didn't need to talk at all, and that I'm not his girlfriend, so why would he even think about testing me? That it's just childish. He played the victim card and told me he didn't like me snapping at him, and that I was childish for telling him his behavior was childish. I still laugh when I think about that logic. Since then, we have had no contact. I tried contacting him on his birthday, but he didn't take my calls, answer my texts, or react to a gift I sent him. I'm furious because he took the decision from me of going no contact. I've been debating it for years, but now I'm at a point where I think, good riddance. Last story. My grandma is surprised that I don't want her attention after ignoring me for most of my life. To give you a little context on the kind of relationship my grandmother and I had, for 20 years she spelled my name wrong. Every card that was sent had my name spelled wrong. On my 21st birthday, she sent me a card that had my name spelled correctly, and I, along with my mother, was so shocked that we were wondering if she had actually sent the card. Growing up, my grandma was really close to one of my cousins. I'll call him Mike. I just assumed it was because she and Mike lived close, while I only got to see my grandma on holidays or family vacations, so like once or twice a year. The moment that made things click for me was when I was around 12 and we were taking a family vacation. We decided to go to a museum specifically for a Native American exhibit. As my grandma says, we are Native American, literally no evidence of that. But once we got to the gift shop, my grandmother bought herself and Mike matching necklaces. I remember feeling very bad and left out. So I asked her if I could get something to match with her as well, and to summarize, she said, "Oh well, it's just a thing with Mike and me. We really bond over our Native American heritage. You don't know much about it, so it wouldn't make sense to buy you something." It was at that moment in my head I was like, oh, so you're just never going to acknowledge me and my feelings. From then on, I never went out of my way to vie for her attention. Cut to several years later and I'm an adult, and my grandmother is 79. My aunt had planned an all-girls cruise for our family. The entire time, my grandma kept wanting to join me for things and kept asking me about my plans. I found it all very weird because she had shown literally no interest in my life prior, and she was shocked when I didn't want to do anything with her one-on-one. I talked to my mom about this, and she was like, "Yep, that's her. Her love goes to the highest bidder." I think now that she's really old, she's worried about the lack of connection she's made with family and doesn't want to die alone. I kind of felt indifferent about the whole thing, sort of a it sucks to suck mentality, which I do feel guilty about because she's my grandma, but relationships are a two-way street, and my grandmother made no effort and seemed to go out of her way to make me feel bad. I'm not going to ignore her, but I'm not going out of my way to placate her because she now suddenly feels guilty, especially if that guilt comes from a place of self-interest. Edit. I just wanted to add some positivity to this mess. I have been building a relationship with my grandmother on my dad's side. The only reason we weren't close is because my parents divorced when I was a baby, and my grandmother lived on the other side of the country, so it was hard for us to communicate and see one another. Now I talk to her regularly, and she is super supportive and sweet. She always ends her messages with, "I love you, and remember you can always call your grandmother if you need anything." And it's very clear she doesn't have favorites. She loves all of us grandbabies equally, even the ones not related by blood. I also had a relationship like this with my grandmother. She was a delight to her favorites, and cold and distant to the ones she was less fond of. I was a favorite, but then as a teen I had much younger cousins who didn't see through her, so I was dropped and forgotten about. I went to college and did very well, even securing some great experiences and a career, and then she wanted my time again. When I was about 26 or so, I wrote her a letter. I told her that I was not interested in humoring her for attention, and that she was a cruel woman masquerading as pious. She was a devout Catholic. I told her that, to me, our relationship was over, and she had no need to entertain the idea of access to my life. We didn't talk again. She passed maybe 10 years ago, and while I was sad for my father and his siblings, I held no real emotional attachment to her. The only people who have access to me and my heart are the ones I allow to have it. Your last paragraph is almost word for word how I tried to explain to my dad about my relationship with his mother. My paternal grandmother was the same. She'd love you today, hate you tomorrow, but you wouldn't know it. Everyone else would, though. She would badmouth all the hated people to the loved people. She moved in with her daughter, and I never heard from her again. Heard she died in the basement by herself, because at the time she and the daughter were not speaking to each other.